Have at me, bro. This is Omega 99 Nemesis with hopefully a fully recovered mouth, and I'm ready to do the 17th episode of my Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin lore play. Alright, so here we're going to go into the Ricard's Repair and get the lore dealt with real quick, and then we're going to do a quick PvP thing, and then we're going to get to the actual footage. Ricard's Repair, an exquisitely decorated rapier, said to belong to a prince who appears in an ancient tale. There are numerous variations of the story of the prince who wandered the lands and eventually became undead. The majority of these tales end in tragedy, but there are some exceptions. On a lore perspective, apparently numerous folk tales have appeared in regards to Ricard, who was a prince who went undead. Now, in Dark Souls 1, we confirm that he's dead as we come across him as a hollow and have to put him down to get this rapier from him in the first game. But I will state, it's not impossible that that was possibly like a thief who stole the sword and just posed as Ricard, but I don't know, I'm inclined to think Ricard's dead. On a gameplay perspective, this is a pretty neat rapier as it allows you to jab enemies a bunch of times. It's got like an insane combo. But I should say, I think it's for the heavy attack and it's considered a special attack, and I think it's only if it's held in one hand. I don't know if it's doable as a two-hander, and let alone as a combo with power stancing. Alright then, let's move on, shall we? Alright, so now as Midas, I'm invading the world of triviumww. Now, this one I really enjoyed. This was a very good PvP match. This one was basically a flame war. We were throwing fire and such at each other. This was mostly a spell fight. Now, I fired this miracle at him to get a shot, and well, I think he was even bowing. If that's the case, I apologize. I pulled the trigger too soon, and for that I do apologize. Anyways, so this guy, you know, is mostly a spell fight. I'm throwing lightning spears, sonic booms, and dropping bolts of lightning around me when he gets too close. And you can also see he does have access to sorcery. He has an intelligence factor that will, you know, as a stat, not necessarily saying he's hyper smart, you know, or clever. Thing is, with the mid-force, it's very good to hit someone who's trying to dodge because it has an area of effect where it hits, so the enemy has to be extremely precise when they roll. Likewise, blocking the lightning sphere isn't ideal, and likewise, rolling into it could be troublesome and a poor tactic at best. But this guy was fun. Don't get me wrong, it was a blast fighting this guy. Trivium really made me work for it, and I had to use up most of my spells just to take him down. Alright, so now we're in Huntsman's Copse. This is actually going to be where we're going to get the first footage of the Forlorn. So far, Lux has fought the Forlorn twice now, both times he's won. So I think I triggered a summon sign, but it didn't pan out, though I could have been wrong. We're going to proceed down this path. Over here, there will be a couple of enemies to deal with. These guys are pushovers, quick and easy to kill, low health, and slow attack rates. Then there's this guy. His torch can cause fire damage, so if you're vulnerable to that, he's a little more of a threat. There's also a guy who's kind of... Oh yeah, I've shown you these guys actually, to be fair, but I'll run by it. This guy's also easy to kill, but they're clever. These guys are tricky. They'll throw daggers, shoot bows, and do a lot of harm if you let them. Especially if they have the advantage of numbers. Now we're going to go fight the first of the bat tormentors. I don't know if there was a distinction between them and the skinny ones, but these guys can really mess you up if you let them. Those two sickles, they usually attack in two-weapon combos, and they're pretty brutal to take hits from. So after going over here and killing this guy, I'm going to go back into this dome over here where there are two enemies playing dead. Of course, I'm using a rapier still, so I have no vertical strikes to hit them with. After summoning this shade Bashful Ray, he's an NPC who's actually pretty useful. I do like him. I actually used him to clear out most of this area ahead of time after I did my footage, because both for souls and, you know. Alright, so from here we're going to go, because I already ran into the Forlorn helping someone else, so I figured I'd go ahead and see if I can't trigger him to invade as well. We have one hit, two hits, I'm already half dead. So I allowed Bashful Ray to deal with that while I healed. Now after going over here and picking up an aromatic ooze, I've yet to use any of them because I like to have them when I'm not ready to use them, basically. I just have them in an item slot. Next would be the butterfly. Once again, kill these things as often as possible so they don't come up back to haunt you. Now, the Forlorn is no real threat if you know what you're doing. He has basic movesets, uses a single weapon. He's basically an NPC invader. No real difference except his own unique set and a bit of a lore to him. I won't go into his lore yet. Just note that this guy there's a reason he is on the poster, even though he is sort of a lackluster invader. He's not that hard to fight, though. A single Forlorn is easy to deal with. They're predictable and easy to backstab. Parrying is not likely because they two-hand their weapons, though, so don't focus on parrying. Dodge, well, I'm dodging. That's how I fight these things. And that's 1 down, 2 to go. Once the Forlorn is dealt with, we're going to push forward and acquire the Sublime Bone Dust. Oh, after the Human Effigy, the Forlorn drops once he dies. Alright, so I'm just going to be upfront and state that I'm going to splice a few clips I put in much later after the fact, because honestly, I beat the 2 bosses of the area when I found the Sublime Bone Dust, as well as the Flomberg. So those are going to be introduced while I'm a member of the Sunbro Covenant. Or Heirs of the Sunlight. Or Heirs of the Sun. Whatever. Alright, so proceed up here. Now, the first time you come up here, you're going to see the Speed Racer over there running about at high speeds. Don't bother killing him. He's no threat. He's just running about. Let him have his fun. I mean, I'll kill him, but I'm a mean person. Anyways, now, this area is at first empty, but once you pull the lever to lower the bridge, you'll be ambushed by a group of enemies, including an undead dog, as well as several hunters. Yeah, now that this is up, I'm actually wasting time trying to kill this guy while these guys show up. Now, once the bridge is lowered, these things will just start coming down natural. You won't have to pull the lever again. But, you know, so be careful about that. Now, once these are dealt with, they drop stuff such as their armor sets, which are the rogue armor, throwing knives, broken thief swords, etc. Short bows also. The hounds drop soul items like Soul of a Lost Undead and such, sometimes even higher soul levels. But either way, so after getting the Soul Spear sorcery from this, kill the Scion Knight, as he, you know, is another one-off spawn enemy. He's not coming back once you kill him the first time. And of course, I don't get the Scion armor set from him. After getting Poison Moss and Butterfly, we get the Sublime Bone Dust. I attacked this chest when I came back here to make sure it wasn't possessed by a mimic. And then in it is a Sublime Bone Dust. You burn this at the Farfire Medulla to increase the potency of your Estus flasks. Alright, now after dealing with the Scion Knight and getting the Sublime Bone Dust, head down this bridge, which is parallel to the one you come in from, and deal with this guy. These are thin tormentors, I've told you about them already, but effectively they deal good damage. They're good at dealing damage, but they have low defenses and are easily stun-locked. So a good poise damage weapon will do them in very quickly, like my Rapier with the Stone Ring combo. There's also a skeleton here that can be dealt with quickly just by wailing on it as it generates. Afterwards, pick up the Alluring Skull it may or may not drop, and pick up this item here, which is Notched Whip. From here, we push forward and go around the corner. Bashful Ray's gonna fade after a while, but going through this small little crevasse, we're gonna find ourselves in a small valley. I'm currently going through my rings briefly. I don't know what I was doing there, but after this deal with these guys, they're gonna drop depending on how you advance. And then from here, you're going to want to fight them one at a time if possible. If you go too far too quickly, multiple of these guys will drop, and if you have a summon with you, I think this increases the likelihood of group drops. But regardless, these enemies are quite manageable with the loadout I've got. Then again, I am higher level than I probably should be. I imagine not many people are going to be at the same level as me, but even after Bashful Ray leaves, and I'm able to deal with this area all on my own. Anywho, yeah, basically if you can after you deal with so many of them, once they land, you can actually wipe them out of the fight quickly. There's also one that's going to pop up behind me, because I didn't see where it's going. It was standing on a ledge of a wall. But yeah, I turn around, see him, and deal with him real quick. Anyways, this isn't the hard part. The hard part's right on top of us. Either way, once he's dealt with, we're going to go forward. There are 2 hollows hanging off this wooden rickety bridge. There are also 2 spots that you can fall through. There's a hole on the left here, then there's one on the right here. I can't tell you how many times I've died because I've walked down those. I tried triggering the hollows to get up, but they ultimately don't respond until you pass the second one and backtrack, I think. Or if you start fighting the red guy here. Yeah, see, now they're triggering. So, like I said, they're lightweight and they don't do a lot of damage, but paired with the red phantom that I'm about to fight, they're a nightmare. The red phantom is equipped with a greatsword, which is the ultra greatsword. A great shield, and honestly, he is a pain. Two-handing his sword, you can't parry him, and worse yet, he does massive damage if you let him. Don't let this guy backstab you, even assuming the game programmed him with the ability to do so. Either way. So I summoned CordedCoyote to help me fight this guy, which is why I'm falling back rather than taking a chance and fighting. Oh, I equipped the life protection ring, that's right. That's why I was fiddling with my rings. That's why I don't have the regeneration aura going for me. But once CordedCoyote was summoned, the Red Phantom backtracks, and I decided to follow suit because, well, no one should fight this thing on his own. While he's fighting CordedCoyote, it's a good idea to have two people fighting him in total at least, simply because you can backstab him. One of you can backstab him, where I failed, though, to be fair. So CordedCoyote makes a good effort fighting this guy, and this is ultimately the best he gives me, but it's still a useful thing. This guy is a nightmare. I hate fighting this guy. He's never any fun because, well, his build makes him perfect for messing me up. Now that he's dealt with, we're going to get ready to fight the Executioner's Chariot. Get ready, I'm going to get destroyed by this thing. I've died like 3 or 4 times before I finally get it. But you know, try again, folks. On a side note, I'd also like to mention that the next episode I plan on tackling my numerous failed attempts to deal with the Executioner's Chariot. I think.